consumerism.
There's a huge interest in sustainability, and there's huge interest in more ethically produced items.
Going forward, consumer also has a CSR, consumer social responsibility.
People are paying more attention to what they consume right now.
A city and a garden, a shopper's paradise. Two things Singapore is known for. One man decided to marry the two, and this is the result. Arthur Zaro is a furniture business that tries to use predominantly sustainable wood.
Seeing how the industry works from the inside, I was alarmed actually and frustrated that even I couldn't 100% guarantee if some of my overseas timber was sustainable or coming from. I mean, it always had a certification. It always had a beautiful hologram sticker on it. But the truth is, I also thought, I kind of know maybe this may or may not be true.
Then he realized he could source from our very own backyard. Tree pruning is a common sight in Singapore, and tons of wood is disposed of every year. Some of them may be reused in the construction industry or turned into wood chips. Recognizing the high quality of the wood from trees like the African mahogany and angsana, Mr. Arthur gives them a new lease of life as household items.
Getting the trees from Singapore was just an amazing opportunity because, we know exactly where they came from. We know it's never left Singapore. And so that sort of takes care of itself. It's really nice that it's from here.
It takes about a year or two from the time a tree is cut to when it becomes a cutting board. Before craftsmen can even work on wood, it needs to be dried, cut, and processed. Nothing is wasted though. Wood shavings collected along the way is also given to gardening groups as nutrients for soil, closing the sustainability loop.
What I'm sanding now is actually angsana wood. You can't smell it, but it's really fragrant and smells a lot like sandalwood perfume. I can even smell it through my mask. Sanding is one of the main processes in making a cutting board. So a board like this would take about 20 minutes, and this is the main step that gives it the nice polished finish, and then it's ready for sale.
Mr. Arthur estimates that he saves 2 to 3 tons of Singapore wood a month. He's also seeing more interest in his products as people are more aware of the impact of consumerism on the environment.
By being sustainable in your consumption, it does not mean that you actually forego, all your needs in your daily life. In other words, I'm not saying that you should become a vegetarian, but at the same time, you have to, consider some of the impact of your daily life. In terms of consumption on other aspects, including environment and society.
Alcohol is hardly the solution to one's problems, but it was in the case of Crust. Crust is a local brewery that started off making beer from but it's taken things up a notch and is even dabbling in food tech. So what it hopes to do is it wants to work with F&B outlets, hotels and airlines to upcycle their food waste into other products.
It's a business that was inspired by habits at home, but it's now tackling one of the biggest global issues, food wastage.
As I grew up, my mom is the kind where, when she cooks a meal, if we don't finish it today, she's going to incorporate it into something new tomorrow. So it is just that mentality that, when I started Crust, I wanted to start a value-based company that can also gain profit, right? I wanted to be able to prove to people that you could basically put value and profit hand in hand.
To date, Crust has saved close to 500 kilograms of food and produced 8,500 liters of beer. And it's not stopping there. To grow the business further, it's launched a non-alcoholic beverage line, Crop. Excess fruits and vegetables are collected and made into drinks like sparkling water and juice, with the ambitious aim of reducing 1% of global food waste by 2030.
We have a business model that is very much very inclusive. It's a collective effort. So we always position ourselves more of an R&D company right now. Your bigger F&B chain, your hotels, your aviation industry, right? all have a lot of food waste. So we want to be able to come in and then give them the ability to minimize their own food waste.
Arthur Zaro and Crust have managed to make a business out of what is essentially waste.
I think habits are very important to anchor to people, consumers, to be more responsible in their discretionary choice for products that can sustain not only the business or the consumers, but the world at large, the community at large.
So as we approach the season of feasting and giving, do give a thought to what you're spending on and look beyond the 3 R's of reduce, reuse, and recycle.
Those great initiatives and more available anytime at CNA.Asia. You've been watching Singapore Tonight. Thanks for your company. Bye-bye.
The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways. Sponsored by Qatar Airways.
The mysterious illness continues to spread across China, was changed from yellow to orange.
Innovate, that's what Japanese are known for. Nothing is taboo anymore. And we have the resilience and resources to face the future. Michio Ishida, CNA, Tokyo.
I'm Kenneth Yong, and I'm the chef for the Supper Club called the Mix Up Chef. So my wife and I have been doing this for the last 5 years. We have guests come over to our home and we host a nice dinner for them. As a chef, I'm very curious about origins of food and how history sort of influenced the way they are. So we like to do authentic classic dishes from around the world, from places that we've been to, and we bring them back to Singapore. But throughout my time, I've been looking at cuisines from outside of Singapore, and I think it's time that I sort of look at my own history. So for my next dinner party, I want to throw a banquet for my friends. So I'm very curious curious about what the colonial ate during the time here in Singapore and what kind of food did they serve at all the lavish banquets they must have during the glory days, and how has that influenced the cuisine today. So I imagine these banquets to be very lavish affairs, with swanky decor and fancy British colonials seated around a very fancy table. And the food I imagine